I turned the key and pushed the door open. Voices. Loud ones. Laughter. Someone dropped a glass. I stepped into my own living room. Mallory's mother was stretched out on my couch, feet up, eating grapes straight from the bowl I kept for guests. Her father shouted something about the TV remote. Logan stood barefoot near the kitchen, sipping from one of my mugs. He didn't look surprised. Mallory walked out from the hallway, holding a folded towel, my towel. "Oh," she said. "You're here." I set my overnight bag down by the door. "This is my house." Logan didn't flinch. "Yeah, we know." I looked around. Shoes everywhere. A wet bathing suit hanging over the banister. Dishes in the sink. Empty bottles on the counter. My photo with Charles gone from the mantel. "Where's the picture?" I asked quietly. Mallory shrugged. "Didn't match the new setup. We put it in a drawer." I looked at my son. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "There's no room here, useless old hag. Leave." The room went still. Mallory took a sip of wine, smirking behind the glass. I didn't move. Her mother laughed softly. "Maybe she didn't hear you." Logan stepped forward. "We're staying here for a while. Needed space. Mallory's parents flew in, so it made sense. You weren't using it. I didn't give you permission. It's not like you were going to stop us." I kept my voice low. "This is my home." Mallory tilted her head. "Temporary home, right? Like a vacation thing." I looked down at the floorboards Charles and I had installed together. I'd sanded them myself. Every inch of this place held something of mine. Not one of them cared. Logan waved a hand toward the door. "Look, just go stay at your other place. We'll clean up before we leave." They laughed at that. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I walked over to the corner, picked up my bag, and left. The sun was already low. I sat in my car, staring through the windshield. The air was thick, warm. I didn't cry. I drove out of the driveway. Slowly. No one followed. At the stop sign at the end of the road, I paused. Put the car in park. My hands stayed on the wheel. Then I reached into the glove compartment, pulled out the folder I hadn't touched in 3 years. The one marked Charles, final estate. I opened it and flipped to the 3rd page. There it was, in black ink. Primary owner Evelyn Brandt. Co-owner none. I ran my finger under the line and kept driving. I turned the car around and came back the next morning. No warning, no call. I just drove. Parked by the front gate. Got out. Walked up like I had for years. Punched in the code. The keypad blinked red. I tried again. Red. Again. Red. I stood there, fist hovering over the panel. The gate didn't budge. I rang the bell. Waited. Nothing. Called Logan. Straight to voicemail. I looked up at the camera by the post. The light was on. They saw me. I walked along the fence line until I reached the side gate. Still locked. A new lock, silver and shiny. Back at the driveway, the gate stayed closed. I stood still, dust on my shoes keys in hand, and felt the first real sting settle in. I got in the car. Drove 10 minutes to the old gas station down the road. Bought coffee. Sat in the parking lot. Thought. Then turned around and drove back. I parked on the street this time. Walked to the garage entrance from the back. The wooden door was cracked open. Inside were 4 cardboard boxes, stacked near the wall. My handwriting on the labels. Bedroom, linens, books. On the top one, a yellow sticky note in Mallory's writing sort, or donate no name. No apology. I pulled the box open. My clothes folded without care. Photo albums tossed on top like junk mail. My wedding dress crumpled at the corner. The small green ceramic bowl I kept my rings in cracked in 2. I sat on the cold concrete floor. I didn't cry. I picked up the framed photo of Charles by the lake, wiped the dust from the glass, and set it on my lap. They packed my marriage. My memories. Like expired junk in a moving sail. I looked around. No sign of my suitcase. No trace of the food I kept in the pantry. The wine glasses from my anniversary trip gone. Just boxes. One note. One broken bowl. I stood, closed the lid, took the smallest box with me. Back in the car, I didn't start the engine. I stared straight ahead, breathing slow, letting the coffee go cold. Then I reached for the folder again. This time, I pulled out the property card. Parcel number, deed registration, zoning map. I underlined my name. Twice. Then I turned to the back page and saw the date. March 3rd, 1991. Charles and I had signed it together. Not one of them had been born yet, but the land was already ours. I took a pen from the glove box, scribbled a single word on the edge of the paper. Mine. I checked my phone while the coffee cooled. Mallory's post had gone up 20 minutes ago. 12 photos. Logan grinning, cake in hand. Her parents flanking him like they'd raised him themselves. A long outdoor table string lights above wine glasses, half full. Everyone dressed like it was some magazine shoot. Casual, but intentional. Polished, but not too rich. The caption read, "Our Real Circle. Happy birthday to the best husband and son." I looked at it for a long time. There was no tag, no mention, not even a hint I existed. The group shot 8 people, 9 chairs. One left open, decorative pillow on the seat. Not a space for me, just a prop. A message popped up. "Carla, thought you were in the picture?" I didn't reply. I stared at Logan's smile. That dimple he used to get when he was 6 and asked me to make pancakes for dinner. I looked for it in these photos. Found it. Same smile. But it didn't reach me anymore. I clicked through her stories. Mallory handed him a wrapped box. A watch. Gold. Her father gave him a key fob. "Your future deserves horsepower," he said. Mallory's voice came through clearly in one clip. "To family who show up. Who stay. Who matter." The whole table laughed. My name wasn't needed. My absence was the joke. I closed the app and set the phone face down. The coffee had gone cold. I didn't bother warming it. I stood, walked to the cabinet, pulled out the old ledger, the one I used for household costs back when Charles was alive, when things still had balance. Page after page, $2,000. Logan venue deposit $850. Logan catering prepay $400. Mallory extra for guest space. Nothing paid back. No thank you. I flipped to the envelope Thomas hadn't yet opened. Reviewed the title deed again. Read it like scripture. Owner Evelyn Brandt. Date of issue. March 3rd, 1991. No co-signer. No amendments. I placed it on the table beside the ledger. Then, slowly, I turned back to the kitchen counter, pulled out a sticky note and wrote one thing, change will. I folded the note, slid it inside the back pocket of the binder, tapped it once flat against the table. Then I walked out the front door and down the steps headed toward the car. I didn't have a plan yet, but I knew where I had to go next. I parked down the street, didn't want them to see my car. Walked around the back, waited by the garage door until the neighbor's dog stopped barking. Slipped inside before anyone noticed. They hadn't even bothered to lock it. Boxes were still there. Dust heavier now. I stepped over a shoe rack that wasn't mine and opened the side door into the main house. Silence. No one home. I moved fast. Up the stairs, left at the end of the hall, my old guest room. The door was cracked open. Someone had left laundry on the bed. I stepped around it. Opened the drawer. The checkbook was still there, tucked between 2 folded towels. I flipped through the last stubs. $2 $100, cashier's check $1,750, home goods $3,400, family groceries $1,950, MISC. All signed by Logan, all from my personal account, all within the last 30 days. No call, no message, just signatures. I put the checkbook in my purse. Opened the closet. My blouses were shoved to the side, hangers bent, dry cleaner bags crumpled on the floor. 2 large duffel bags sat in the center, one with Mallory's initials. The other still unzipped her mother's things. I pulled open the hallway linen closet. Gone. The quilt Charles and I bought on our anniversary gone, replaced by floral sets, cheap polyester bright colors that didn't belong. Downstairs I heard a door slam. I froze. Then footsteps, heels on hardwood. Mallory's voice floated up the stairs. "Mom, can you believe how quiet it is without her hovering?" I didn't move. Another voice, sharper, older, her mother. "It's better this way. You've made this house feel like ours. Ours." She said it so casually, like I'd never existed here. I crept out of the room, shut the door behind me, moved back toward the garage. Halfway down the stairs, I saw it my favorite reading chair, the one Charles bought after I retired. It wasn't in the living room, it was on the porch, next to Mallory's mother, who was sipping lemonade and flipping through a catalog. She leaned back in the chair. My chair. Rocked once, then said loud enough for the wind to carry, "This house really suits us." Like it was meant to be ours. I didn't make a sound. I backed out of the house, slipped through the garage, and drove away. 10 minutes later, I pulled into the bank. Requested a printed transaction report. Signed nothing. Spoke little. Back home, I highlighted every withdrawal in yellow, laid the pages side by side. Then I opened the bottom drawer of Charles's old desk, pulled out the worn file marked Living Will, Unfiled Draft, and under it a second folder I hadn't touched in years. Labeled in his handwriting, Contingency, Property Retention. I opened it, read the first line, then the second, then all of it. Twice. I pulled the books down one by one. Spines dusty. Pages stiff. Most of them I hadn't opened in years. Some still had Charles's bookmarks, inside train schedules, grocery receipts, a birthday card he never gave me. I wasn't cleaning, I was looking, and I didn't know for what. Then the last row shifted. A thin envelope yellowed at the corners, slid down the back panel, and landed with a soft flap against the shelf. I picked it up. No label, just heavy paper and something solid inside. I opened it. A trust deed. Notarized. Dated 18 years ago. Charles Brandt and Evelyn Brandt. Truster. Charles beneficiary. Evelyn sole, upon death of truster, all rights and ownership. Revert to named beneficiary without condition. I kept reading. Paragraph after paragraph. No room for interpretation. No joint clauses. No co-signers. No heirs. Just me. The beach house. The land. The deed. All mine, with full legal protection under the trust. I flipped to the last page, Charles's signature, his writing shaky from illness, but still his. Then the notary stamp. Then mine. It had been filed, certified, sealed. I set it on the desk and stared at it. Logan didn't know this existed. Neither did Mallory. They had no legal claim, no rights, not even a thread. Everything they were building their plans on was a lie, because the one thing they needed, the property, was already locked in my name. I sat down, took a breath. My hands didn't shake. I reached for my planner, flipped to next week, crossed out a dentist appointment, wrote instead, Thomas, full review, trust documents, next steps. I folded the trust carefully, slid it back into the envelope, and placed it in the center of the table. Then I made a fresh cup of coffee, no sugar. And while it brewed, I opened my laptop and pulled up the county recorder's office, typed in the parcel number from the deed, scanned the screen. No recent filings, no name changes, no title transfers. The house was still untouched, still mine. But someone had tried. There was a flagged record pending incomplete. Filed 2 weeks ago. I clicked on the contact listed. It was Mallory's maiden name. I closed the laptop. Then I turned on the shredder, took the false invoices from Logan, the birthday receipts, the loan forms, and fed them in. One by one. Strip by strip. All of it gone in minutes. The real paper was safe now, and they wouldn't see it coming. I slipped back into the house the next afternoon. Front door wide open, music from the living room. Smell of wine and something frying in oil. Voices carried through the hallway. I kept close to the wall, my steps soft against the hardwood. Mallory's mother was talking, her tone sharp, certain. Once the place is fully in Logan's name, we'll sell it. She won't even notice. Mallory laughed. She's too slow to catch on. And even if she did, what could she do? No one listens to her. I stood still in the shadow by the coat rack. The words didn't sting. They cut clean, but they didn't bleed. Because I knew something they didn't. Mallory's mother continued. We'll list it in spring. Prices peak then. Logan and you can take the down payment for the new house. Start fresh. Mallory's voice lowered. He still hesitates. Talks about her feelings. Can you believe that? After everything she's put him through. Put him through. I let the words sit. Then I stepped forward. Not hiding, not rushing, just walking down the hall. They both turned. Mallory froze for half a second, then smiled like she'd rehearsed it. Mom, this is Evelyn. She was just leaving. Her mother didn't smile. She didn't even blink. Afternoon, she said flat, and turned back to the living room like I was a delivery driver. I kept walking, past them, into the kitchen, opened the fridge. My fridge. Took out a bottle of water, twisted the cap, drank. Mallory hovered in the doorway. We thought you'd be staying at your other place. I said nothing, just set the bottle down on the counter. Her mother called from the living room, louder this time. The sooner this is in Logan's name, the better. No sense dragging it out. Neither of them looked embarrassed. Neither flinched. My presence meant nothing. I capped the bottle, placed it carefully back in the fridge, and walked past them again down the hallway toward the stairs. I heard Mallory whisper as I passed. See, she doesn't even fight. I didn't stop. Didn't argue. My purse was still by the door. I picked it up, slid the strap over my shoulder and left. Outside, the air was heavy. The sun just starting to dip. I unlocked the car, sat inside, and pulled the envelope from the passenger seat. Opened it again. Read the first line, the second, the signature. My name alone. I traced it with my finger. Folded the paper slowly. Slid it back. The house was mine. Every nail, every tile. And they had no idea. I turned the key in the ignition and drove toward Thomas's office. Version: Evelyn Kwan Satuxa. I opened the bank app and stared at the charge. 5149.23, Upholstery and Design Group. I hadn't ordered anything. I hadn't approved anything. I hadn't even been in that house for a week. I called the number listed on the transaction. A woman answered. Hello, this is Denise from Upholstery and Design. Are you calling about the beach house delivery? I kept my voice calm. Which address? She read it out loud. Mine. And the name on the order, Logan Brandt. He said you were his co-signer. Said you'd be out of town. I didn't argue. What was delivered, a custom sectional. Midnight gray, downfilled. Premium model. Scheduled under your homeowner account. We billed the financing to the primary mortgage line. My hand tightened around the phone. Send me the invoice. She paused. Is something wrong? No, I said. Everything's just starting to make sense. I hung up. I didn't text Logan, didn't call Mallory. Instead, I logged into the mortgage account and downloaded the statement. They'd taken out a credit extension tied to the deed, not approved, not legal, but real. They were testing the limits. I opened my notebook, wrote down the date, amount, time. Then I wrote 3 words under it. First financial strike. Next page, I added a line, prepare restraining clause. Ask Thomas about freezing access. I closed the notebook. Then I brewed coffee, black, no sugar, and sat still as the storm gathered. I signed in at the front desk, smiled politely, waited for my number, County records smelled like old paper and linoleum, the kind of place no one rushes in, but everyone regrets walking out of too late. My number blinked red. I stepped to the counter. I'm checking the status of a parcel, I said. Personal property. I'm the recorded owner. The clerk nodded. Parcel number, I gave it. Clear, calm, hands steady. He typed, clicked again. There's a pending update, he said. Application submitted 2 weeks ago. Status under legal review. Under whose name? He turned the screen toward me. Logan Brandt and Mallory Brandt. Request to retitle joint ownership under marriage clause. I kept my mouth shut. He scrolled down. There's a signed transfer form. Scanned. Can I see it? He paused, looked hesitant. Technically, yes. It's public, once submitted. He clicked. My name sat at the bottom of the screen, under a scanned signature line. It wasn't my signature. Too smooth. Too tall. The tail on the Y curved wrong. The spacing was wide, like someone copying from memory, not muscle. I leaned forward. Is that what they used to justify the filing? Yes. Said you signed it privately. They included a letter from a family advisor confirming. My jaw tightened. I nodded once. Can I get a printed copy? He hesitated. We're not supposed to unless I'm requesting it as the legal owner. He exhaled, clicked, and the printer whirred behind him. I'll add the case file number. It's under review anyway. Flagged because of an inconsistency. What kind? The form they submitted doesn't match the original trust in the archive. He handed me the copy. I folded it clean corner to corner and placed it in my bag. I walked out without saying anything more. Outside, the air had turned dry. Warm wind off the road. I crossed the street to the corner diner. Sat in the booth by the window. Ordered a black coffee. No sugar, no cream, just bitter and hot. When the server left, I opened the copy again, stared at the forgery, the fake version of my name, the lie they'd built their future on. I pulled out my notebook, wrote a single word across the top of a blank page. Counterclaim. Then I underlined it. Hard. Below that, I listed names Thomas, notary, county clerk, then amounts $5,149.23, sofa $3,400, groceries $2,000, event. Then at the bottom, forgery filed April 12th. I didn't cry. I finished the coffee, paid in cash, left exact change. Then I walked out, turned right toward my car and opened the text thread to Thomas, sent one photo the scanned signature, then 2 words. It's time. I called Thomas the moment I got home. He picked up on the first ring. Evelyn, I saw your message. You free now? Yes. Come in. I grabbed the folder. The trust deed. The printout from county records. The forged signature. The receipts. Every marked withdrawal. Everything I had. No small talk when I walked into his office. He closed the door behind me. You look steady. I am. He nodded. Sit. I laid the folder on his desk. He opened it. 1 page at a time. No questions. Just reading. After 5 minutes, he leaned back in the chair. It's clean. They're exposed. But this gets loud, Evelyn. I want it quiet. For now. He tapped his finger on the forged signature. They think you're out of the game. They do. He nodded. Then don't show your hand. I won't. He opened his drawer, pulled out a legal pad. We'll need a timeline. Every transaction, every unauthorized purchase. Messages, emails, delivery slips. You have screenshots, I have screenshots. Bank logs. Paper statements too. Good. We'll need 3 copies of everything and receipts, especially the ones tied to property debt. Those are key. I slid over the folder of printouts. I started logging amounts last week. He glanced through them. They used your equity line, not even smart enough to hide it. Entitled enough not to care. He smirked. That's better? I didn't smile back. Thomas opened a second folder. We'll build this in layers. First, financial abuse. Second, fraud. Third attempted property theft through forgery. If we time this right, we freeze the transfer before it clears. He wrote in block letters, "Intent to defraud, family claim," then underlined it twice. "Next step," I asked. "We sit, we wait, and we watch them hang themselves." I nodded. "What do you need from me now, Silence? And everything you haven't told me yet." "I haven't told you much." "Exactly?" I stood to leave. He looked up. "One more thing." "Yes, when they call. When they ask for something small, ignore it. When they invite you back and decline. When they apologize, write it down. I'll be ready." I left his office, drove straight home, and walked into the study. Opened the closet, moved the books, pressed in the code. Then I opened the safe. The combination clicked clean, left, right, left. Thumb pressed hard on the handle. It gave. The binder was right where I left it, wrapped in an old dish towel tucked between a box of Charles's cufflinks and our marriage license. I pulled it out and placed it on the desk, unwrapped it, sat down, opened the flap and flipped through the tabs. Section 1, Original Deed. Section 2, Amendment to Will. Section 3, Voice recordings, each labeled by date. I stopped at 1. February 11th, 2017. Pressed play. Charles's voice crackled through the speaker. Tired, low, but clear. "If they ever push her, she has everything. Don't let anyone touch that house unless it's her hand opening the door." I closed my eyes for a moment. Let him finish. Logan's weak when it comes to her. Mallory, she's the one to watch. She's a planner, a smiler. I hadn't heard the tapes in years. If they ever treat her like furniture, remind them who bought the damn walls. I hit pause, then opened the back flap of the binder. Filed inside a clear sleeve was the will amendment, full ownership retained by Evelyn Brandt. In the event of any dispute, authority defaults to original trust. Signed by Charles, notarized, dated, witnessed by Thomas. It was all here. Everything they needed to take the house was mine. I reached for my phone, took a picture of the will, then the deed, then the cassette label with Charles's voice date. Texted them to Thomas. Attached one line, "Next move." 3 minutes later, he replied, "This is the move." I slid the binder back into its towel, placed it on the table beside my coffee. Mallory's voice might be loud, but Charles's signature was louder, and he was still on my side. The house sat dark when I pulled up. Thomas's stamped order lay on the passenger seat, heavy as stone. A freeze notice. Temporary possession restored until the dispute cleared. Enough authority to act. I called the locksmith from the porch, showed him the order. He read it twice, nodded, and went to work. One by one, the locks turned over. Deadbolts replaced. Gate keypad reset. Keys handed to me alone. By noon, every door obeyed me again. I walked the rooms in silence. My quilt back on the chair. My books where they belonged. The air felt different. Mine again. At 1:14 p.m., gravel crunched outside. Mallory's SUV. She stormed up the steps. Sunglasses in her hair, voice already sharp. She pulled at the handle. "Nothing." She pounded. "Open this door. You can't do this." "Logan will." I opened just enough to slide an envelope through the gap. White sealed her name, typed clean across the front. She snatched it, ripped it open, scanned the first lines. Notice of trespass. Unauthorized entry. Prohibited. Her face drained, then burned red. "You think this paper scares me?" she hissed. "No," I said. "The law does." She shoved the letter back at me. I didn't take it. It fell at her feet. "You're insane, Evelyn. You'll ruin your own son." I didn't answer. I let the silence press against her words. "You can't lock us out. This is our life too. You're being cruel." I leaned on the frame. Cruel was treating my house like a hotel. Her jaw trembled. She kicked the step hard like a child denied. "You'll regret this," she spat. I closed the door, slid the bolt. Her fists hit the wood twice more. then silence. Tires screeched, and she was gone. I bent, picked up the wrinkled letter, smoothed it flat, and filed it in the binder beside Charles's voice. Then I brewed coffee, sat at the table, and reached for the next folder Thomas had left in my bag. He parked at the curb and didn't slam the door. Just walked up the path slow, like the weight on his shoulders was new. I didn't open right away. He didn't knock hard. Just once. Light. I pulled the door open and stepped aside. He hesitated, then came in. No duffel bag, no Mallory, no sunglasses, just him. He looked around the living room like he didn't recognize it, like the walls had shifted without him. "Mom," he said. I nodded. "Logan." He sat without asking. Quiet. Hands folded. He didn't lean back. "I'm not here to fight." "Good." He glanced toward the kitchen. "I thought maybe we could talk. Just us." I didn't move. "Talk." He cleared his throat. "We've all been tense. Things got messy. I know you've always been protective of this place. This place has a name." He flinched. "Right. The house? No. It's a home. Has been since 1989? He nodded. "Exactly. So I was thinking, maybe we don't have to argue about ownership. Maybe there's a middle ground." I waited. "You stay on the documents, obviously," he said quickly. "But maybe we co-manage it. Use it together. Shared scheduling repairs taxes. I can take on some of that. Take the weight off you." His voice softened, practiced. "It's too much for one person now. Wouldn't it be better to just ease into it?" I didn't blink. "Who wrote that pitch? You or Mallory?" He looked down. Didn't answer. I walked to the kitchen. "Coffee." He nodded. I poured it black. No sugar, no cream. Set it on the table in front of him, sat across. Watched him take a sip and try not to grimace. I sipped mine without flinching. He set his cup down too fast. It clinked. "You know we didn't mean to take anything from you. We just thought maybe it was time." For he didn't say it. I let the silence stretch until it snapped. "I'm not signing anything I said." His mouth opened, then closed. He looked like he wanted to argue but had already been warned not to. I stood, picked up his untouched coffee, poured it down the sink. He stayed seated. "You can go now, Logan." He stood slowly. Looked at the door, then back at me. I tried. I nodded once. "You did." He walked out without slamming anything. I locked the door behind him, then went to the counter, flipped open the red folder Thomas had left, and removed the next form. I answered Mallory's invitation with one word, "Sure." She sent back a thumbs up and a time. No apology, no explanation, just the performance reset. I arrived 5 minutes early, empty-handed. No flowers, no wine. I walked in through the front like I owned the place because I did. They were already seated. The in-laws, the cousins. Logan at the head, Mallory beside him, napkin folded too neatly on her lap. The table sparkled with effort, lights low, candles lit, music soft. Not a birthday, not a holiday, just an ambush in nice lighting. Evelyn Mallory said, rising like a hostess, "So glad you came." I nodded. "Smells like you hired help." Laughter tight and clipped rippled down the table. She didn't correct me. I took the seat they'd left at the far end, near the kitchen door, away from the window, away from the head. But I sat straight, unbothered. They served roasted chicken too dry and overcooked carrots. Talked about a new business Logan was exploring, which sounded like an old business he failed at. Last year. Someone complimented the table runner. Mallory smiled too wide. They pretended nothing had happened. I played along. I chewed, nodded, laughed once. I even poured wine into my own glass. Halfway through dessert, some puffed pastry thing they bought from the expensive bakery. Mallory cleared her throat and said, "We're thinking of making some changes to the property, just adjustments, long-term things." I leaned forward. Before or after? Escrow closes. The fork in her hand froze midair. She blinked. Logan's head turned toward her before he even processed the question. What she asked? The escrow, I said, calm. The transfer paperwork you submitted without legal clearance. Curious what agent would process that. She put the fork down. That's what are you talking about? You'll want to check with your broker, I said. Since escrow filings are public and time-stamped, especially when they involve forged deeds, silence fell like a dropped plate. Logan shifted in his chair. Mom, I'd recommend checking the county freeze notice too, I said, still gentle. Before you sign anything else using my house as leverage. Mallory's mother pressed a napkin to her lips. I stood, straightened the cloth on the table. Thank you for dinner. No one said a word. I walked out. The air outside was cooler than I remembered. I didn't drive home right away. I sat in the car with the window down and let the silence settle. Then I reached into my bag, pulled out the envelope labeled Phase 2, and slid it onto the passenger seat. Logan called 2 days after the dinner. His voice was smoother than it had been in weeks. Mom, can we stop by? Just to talk. No arguments. I said yes. They showed up together. Mallory in a beige dress, Logan in a pressed shirt. They looked like people rehearsing for a photograph. Mallory carried a folder. Logan set it on the coffee table with both hands like it was fragile. Mallory started first. We've been under pressure. Maybe we came on too strong, but this could be good for everyone. I sipped my coffee. Waited. It's just a renovation loan, Logan said. Updates to the roof, septic, landscaping. Nothing big, just improvements to increase the property value. Strictly maintenance. Mallory leaned in. The bank only needs your co-signature as a formality. You wouldn't have to pay a cent. It's just proof of ownership. It'll help us qualify. That's all. I glanced at the folder. Blank forms highlighted spaces for initials. The last page already had Logan's name written, bold and confident. You want me to sign? Just once, Logan said. It won't change anything. It'll help us move forward as a family. Mallory smiled like she was comforting a child. Think of it as a bridge. I let the silence grow. Finally, I smiled. I'll think about it. Relief flooded their faces. Logan reached across as if to hug me, then thought better of it. Mallory snapped the folder shut like she'd won a prize. They left 10 minutes later. The moment the door closed, I picked up the folder with 2 fingers like it was dirty. I didn't open it again. I slid it into a manila envelope marked Evidence and put it inside my desk drawer. Then I called Thomas. He answered on the second ring. Yes, they want me to co-sign a renovation loan, forms already filled with Logan's name. I heard his pen scratch against paper. Perfect. That's attempted encumbrance on your property, with intent to defraud. Did you agree to anything? I smiled. Said I'd think about it. Good. Leave it there. Bring the folder to me tomorrow. We'll add it to the file. It's the last piece we needed. The last piece for what? For the trap to shut. I closed the drawer, locked it, and set the key in my pocket. Then I poured a fresh cup of coffee, sat at the table, and began drafting the letter Thomas had asked for. The one that would signal it was time to move. We filed the fraud packet the morning after the dinner. They didn't believe I would. They thought I was bluffing. I arrived at the county office 20 minutes early. Thomas was already there, binder in hand, documents sorted, stamped, and tabbed. 2 county-appointed witnesses waited quietly by the hallway. One wore a lapel camera. The other held a clipboard and an unreadable expression. At 9:03 a.m., the glass door swung open. Mallory walked in first, sunglasses on, scarf too tight. Logan followed, shoulders tense, folder under his arm. They moved quickly, like they were afraid to be seen, but too late to turn back. They didn't see me at first. They marched straight to the clerk's counter. We're here to finalize the title update, Mallory said. Under Logan Brandt. The request was submitted electronically last month. The clerk, a man with sharp eyes, didn't flinch. Just a moment. He stepped away. Thomas stepped forward. We're submitting a formal contest and fraud claim, he said to the second clerk. Filed under Evelyn Brandt. Supporting documents are included. The room stayed quiet. I stepped into view. Mallory turned at the sound of my shoes on tile. Her smile died fast. You followed us here. No, I said. I led. The first clerk returned holding a printed page. Mr. Brandt, there's a flag on the property number. All actions are frozen pending legal review. Mallory's voice sharpened. That can't be right. We submitted everything by the book. Thomas didn't blink. You submitted a deed with a forged signature, false authorization, and an open escrow without the owner's consent. Logan frowned. This is some kind of mistake my mother's just confused. The official turned to me. Mrs. Brandt, would you be willing to sign here for verification? I took the pen. Signed clean. The exact same way I signed every legal document since 1991. No hesitation. The officer compared it. Looked up, nodded, confirmed. Original matches. He turned to the camera. Statement validated. Deed forgery confirmed. File sealed for legal investigation. Mallory's hands curled into fists. This is a setup. No, I said. This is mine. Logan stepped back. His mouth opened, but no words came. The clerk marked the file. Title transfer denied. County records will be corrected to reflect sole ownership. Thomas closed the binder. A full report will be forwarded to the district attorney. No one moved. Mallory grabbed Logan's sleeve. We're leaving. She hissed the word. They walked out without speaking. I didn't watch them go. Thomas handed me a slip of paper. They'll get formal notice by courier tomorrow. I folded it once and tucked it into my bag. Make it certified. He nodded. I stepped outside. Sunlight. Cool breeze off the water. I exhaled. Not relief, just control. Then I walked 2 blocks to the coffee shop, ordered black no sugar, and opened the next file 30-day notice. I unlocked the front door. Pushed it open slow. The house was quiet. Furniture untouched. Their things still scattered, but no voices, no footsteps, no Mallory barking orders from the kitchen. I stepped through the hallway, checked each room. Guest room empty. Back bedroom suitcase gone. Bathroom cabinet cleared. Only the faint trace of her hairspray lingered. Thomas had filed the trespass warning 2 days ago. Today, he filed the formal eviction. I carried the notice in a plastic sleeve. 30 days. Legally binding. County approved. Served through their lawyer, confirmed received. I taped a copy to the inside of the window next to the front door. Another one on the gate facing the street. I made sure they were high enough no one could yank them down without a ladder. On the way out, I passed the mailbox. Inside, a crumpled envelope, no stamp. Just my name scribbled in Logan's handwriting. I opened it on the spot. You're being cruel. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just wanted something of my own. You always held everything so tightly. Mallory wanted security. That's all. L. I folded it in half. Put it back in the box. Not mine to carry anymore. Back inside, I walked one more round. Checked the locks. Tested the back door. Drew the curtains. The place felt like mine again. Outside, the sun hit the driveway just as I stepped off the porch. A car pulled up. Logan? Alone? He didn't get out. Just rolled the window down halfway. You didn't have to escalate it, he said. I didn't. I said. You did. His jaw clenched. We've got nowhere else to go. You had 30 years to build something I said. You chose shortcuts. He didn't argue. He glanced toward the paper taped to the front gate. Mallory wants to fight it. Says you'll lose in court. I didn't respond. Just held his gaze. He looked away first. Put the car in reverse. Pulled back into the street without another word. I waited until he was gone before turning back to the gate. Smoothed the paper against the wind. Pressed the tape down once more. Then I walked back inside and locked the door behind me. The kettle was still warm from earlier. I poured a second cup and sat by the window. Outside, the driveway stayed empty. Inside, the silence didn't hurt anymore. The phone rang just after 7. I let it go twice. Third time I answered. "Mom," he said. No apology. Just my name. I didn't speak. He kept going. "I'm sitting outside the old high school. Just parked here. I don't know where else to be right now." I could hear the hum of his engine. The quiet tick of his blinker still on. "I didn't plan for this to get so out of hand," he said. Mallory was the one pushing the title thing. Her mom kept saying we should secure it before something happened. That it made sense. That you'd be fine with it. I leaned back in the chair, looked at the ceiling. "I should have stopped it," he said. "I know that now. But everything moved so fast. I felt stuck. And you," he cut himself off. "You always made everything look so easy." I guess I wanted that for once. Still, I said nothing. He paused. "I saw the paper you left on the gate. 30 days. That's generous. More than I deserve." I stayed quiet. He kept talking. "I didn't know they submitted forged documents. Mallory told me it was all preliminary, that you'd approve it once you saw the numbers. I wasn't trying to steal anything. I just wanted a way out of the mess." A horn honked faintly in the background. He sniffed, cleared his throat. "I'm not asking you to undo anything," he said. "I know it's done. I know I messed up. I just wanted to say something before it's too late." I could hear him waiting, hoping, but I had nothing left to give him, so I breathed once, then ended the call. No click, no bang, just silence. I placed the phone on the table. Steady. Flat. No trembling. Outside, the wind shifted. One of the eviction notices on the gate fluttered against the wood. Still taped. Still holding. I picked up my mug, took the last sip. Bitter. Room temperature. Then I stood, pulled out the folder marked Final Transfer, Interior Assets, and opened to the first checklist. Logan had spoken his piece. Now it was time I finished mine. I signed the lease at 9:45 sharp. The couple arrived early, nervous, dressed like they were applying for something more than a house. She taught second grade. He managed a bike shop. Married 5 years. No pets, no drama. I walked them through every room. The scuffs on the baseboards. The sound the second stair makes. Where the light switch sticks. They asked careful questions. Took pictures. Took notes. When we reached the back porch, the wife turned to me. "It's beautiful out here. It's quiet," I said. They nodded, like they understood what that meant. We went back inside. I handed them the keys, 2 copies of the lease, and a small printed sheet with emergency contacts and maintenance instructions. Security cameras were installed last week, I added. 4 corners fully motion triggered, app-based access. I'll transfer control to you after move-in. They exchanged glances, then smiled. "Thank you. That gives us peace of mind." I smiled back. "It gives me peace too." They signed. Initialed. Signed again. At the end, the wife handed me a check. First month plus deposit. No hesitation. No delay. I walked them out, shook their hands, and watched as they drove off toward the highway with the windows down. Once the dust settled, I stepped back inside and locked the door behind me. Then I opened the side cabinet and pulled out a plastic file marked Income. Rental Coastal. Slipped the check inside. Logged the payment. On the wall above my desk hung a frame I hadn't touched in years. I wiped the glass with my sleeve. A photo me and Alan before Logan was born. Back when the house was new and the deck was just planks on gravel. Alan's handwriting still marked the back of the frame. Keep the water, lose the noise. I understood it now. I spent the afternoon walking the perimeter. Tested the cameras, checked the logs. No activity, no motion. The lawn service had trimmed the hedges just yesterday. Everything in order, At sunset, I sat on the porch with a notebook, wrote the new code for the front gate, wrote the forwarding address for future mail, wrote the date, effective May 1st, tenant occupied. Then I closed the notebook, stood and folded the last old towel that had once belonged to Logan's room. It smelled like salt and fabric softener. I didn't linger. I placed it in the donation box by the door, shut the lid, and carried it out to the trunk. I parked in the shade, opened the trunk. No clipboard, no binder. Just a key and a memory. The new tenants were out. They'd left a note, storage room still has one sealed box, was here when we moved in. I walked through the side gate past the garden that hadn't bloomed since before Alan died. The back door creaked like always. The storage room still smelled like dust and cardboard. I flicked on the light. One box, brown, sealed with a single strip of clear tape. My name scribbled in the corner, Logan's handwriting. I sat on the edge of the workbench, pulled the tape slowly. Inside a photo frame, cracked at one corner, Logan at 12. Freckles, missing tooth, arms wrapped around my neck. We were at the pier, both soaked from the rain. He looked happy. I looked tired. But I was smiling wide, holding him like the wind might take him. Below it, a folded sweatshirt, his old school logo. My initials on the tag sewn when I used to do laundry at midnight between double shifts. And a paper, one of his first report cards. BS and C's. A comment from the teacher, Logan speaks before thinking, but always apologizes after. I held it a moment, then placed it back in the box. There was no letter, no explanation, just the pieces of someone who used to be mine. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I took the photo out, wiped the glass, set it aside. Then I sealed the box again, carried it to the attic stairs, climbed slowly. The attic hadn't changed, still smelled of insulation and cedar, still had Alan's fishing poles in the far corner. I placed the box in the back. No label, no tape. Just set it down gently. I carried the photo frame back downstairs, placed it in the kitchen drawer next to the matches. Didn't hang it, didn't toss it, just left it somewhere quiet. Then I locked up, reset the alarm, stepped back into the sun. The porch light flickered as I walked past. Motion sensor, still working, still mine. I filled the kettle, flicked the switch, waited. No texts, no knocks, no raised voices down the hall, just the quiet hiss of heating water and the distant pulse of waves. I pulled the mug from the shelf, white ceramic plain. No chips, no flowers, no script except two black words stamped near the handle. Still mine. The coffee brewed slow. I didn't rush it. I leaned on the counter, watching steam rise. The same mug had sat untouched for months while I drank from paper cups, while I bit my tongue and stood outside my own home. Now it warmed both hands. I stepped outside. The porch boards gave a soft groan beneath me. The wind off the coast had lost its sting. I sat in the chair Alan built before the shingles went up, before Logan had teeth. It still held, still rocked just enough. The new tenants would arrive in a few hours to move in their last boxes. They'd asked if they could plant herbs by the kitchen window. I said yes. I hoped they would. The gate stayed closed, the mailbox empty, the front lawn trimmed. I set the mug on the porch railing. The words faced out toward the ocean. Not for anyone else to read, just in case the wind ever tried to forget. I took a sip. No cream, no sugar. Inside, the clock ticked in the kitchen. No one filled the silence. I didn't need them to. The house behind me stood whole, untouched, protected. And I sat still, just for a moment. Then I stood, carried the mug inside, set it on the counter. I had calls to return, a box to donate, and a key to hand off. But not just yet.